Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Starfleet, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're joined by the wonderful Plato's third cousin on his mom's cousin's side, the Martian. We have
What's up?
Father hailing in from Starbase. What Starbase would that be?
Melbourne International Airport in Orlando, Florida.
There you go. And we have our sub commander decloaking. Thank you for coming.
Greetings.
Oh my gosh, this is weird. Folks are like, "Oh my," about this episode, worst episode ever. I haven't. I liked it. Oh my gosh, I don't know. We'll have to talk about this. This is cool. So,
I was actually happy that this episode fell on a week when I'd be traveling because I was thinking like, oh, I'll probably be unavailable for Plato's.
oh man.
But
Well,
yet
let's-
here I am. I did watch
Yes.
it. I did just watch it on my phone here at the food court of the airport in between Chick-fil-A and McDonald's.
So, interesting place to be in between. It's
Yeah.
like-
Do you have your chicken sandwich and coffee?
yeah, it's true.
The coffee came from a Cinnabon. They
Oh,
were out of
Ooh.
cold brew, the bastards.
Cake is Eternal says, "Father, what dedication." While I tweet the tweet, could one of y'all do the episode summary for us, please?
Sure, I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Awesome.
So the episode kicks off with the Enterprise getting a distress call to render some medical aid to these aliens who, it turns out, visited Earth after their planet was destroyed. They really liked Plato and Greek philosophy. I thought that stuff was really cool. So when it stopped being trendy on Earth, they're like, oh, we'll just go have our own ancient Greece with blackjack and hookers, except it was with telekinesis. And so that's what they did. But these people are very long-lived and very cruel and malice, and just view themselves as gods, and everyone else is just a little utensil to be used for their own, I guess, enjoyment. They try to make slaves out of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and then beam down Shackle and Uhura. And they also have their little whipping boy Alexander, but McCoy is able to scientifically give them the powers, the tables turn, and Kirk is able to win their freedom, and they take little Alexander away, and it's the end.
And then of course the history part of it is I think it's a little in dispute, but supposedly the first interracial kiss on TV.
The first commonly one on American TV.
On American TV, because where was it? British TV that did it first, or something?
There
like
was
that?
also a play that was televised one time in the United States that had it.
Right on. And then also, I didn't know this, but I was doing some research, and like apparently they never kissed. It was like a camera angle thing. Like their lips never touched. Rather.
No,
They shot two
They do
versions.
kiss.
Oh, they do kiss. Okay.
Yeah, so the story with that, if y'all don't mind me sharing it, I'm sure other people here know it, but in case anyone in the audience doesn't, Nichelle Nichols tells the story where they were very nervous about shooting that, so they waited till the end of the day. And it was the last thing they shot, and I guess it was the studio, I guess it was NBC was the ones really concerned about it. But they were going to shoot it two different ways. They're going to shoot it one where they do kiss, and another where I guess they just come close to kissing. And so they shot the one where they actually kiss first. And they get that shot, so okay, now we need to get like another shot of them not kissing. And when they did that, William Shatner looks at the camera and crosses his eyes, but no one caught it. And because it had been such a long day and they were trying to wrap up everything, because like time is money on a set. And so, okay, we got both versions, we're going to shut everything down. And then they couldn't use that. When they printed it and saw it in dailies, they were like, oh my God, look what this rascal did.
Would you say, Father, that William Shatner sabotaged the other cut?
No, I would say he sabotaged that, because I'm not a weirdo who says sabotage.
That's really cool. I guess I had the history mixed up. That's very, very cool.
But when you watch it, it doesn't quite look like they're
Yeah, it
making
doesn't look like
contact.
they're kissing,
But
yeah.
but that story is certainly for real. I mean, I've heard that. I've heard Shatner writes that, and you got to love that guy for deciding to ruin that take that way. I think that took some guts. So good for him.
This was another one of those episodes that I hadn't seen since I was a little kid. Well, not a little
Really?
kid. I think last time I saw it maybe was when I was a teenager, probably, because it was on syndication. They aired. It seems like they aired this episode a lot, but I do remember, being really intrigued by the telekinesis. Like I remember always feeling when I was a kid. I always thought Alexander was just another kid. I guess I didn't realize, that he was a little person. But then when I got older and I realized that, and then I was like, wow, this is like really cool because like you don't see a lot of you see like I guess the only other little person in TV that I remember seeing was like Tattoo, right, on
Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island, and he's
Yeah.
the actor who plays Alexander. His name is let me see here. I have it written down. Michael Dunn
Dunn,
is
yeah,
great.
yeah.
He's such a brilliant actor.
He's really
I was
good.
like, yeah, I was really impressed with his performance. Like I even watching it this time, like I was feeling like crying. I was like, man, they're like, and they're so sadistic. Like, like it's
Yeah.
a dark. This is probably the darkest in many ways to me. This is one of the darkest episodes of TOS. It's very powerful, or at least it felt that way watching it this time. Like it triggered a lot of like really, really like strong emotions watching it this time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And this was an episode like everyone else growing up. I can't watch this. It's so cringeworthy. You see Alexander riding on Captain Kirk and doing the dancing, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is such a bad episode. But I realized later as an adult, you know why it's so hard to watch? It's supposed to be hard to watch. I mean, it's hard to watch our heroes just get humiliated in that way. We're going to see another episode soon, The Empath, where there is some torture going on. It's not as hard to watch because, you can kind of deal with sort of like, okay, these guys get into physical pain or, they're dealing with that. But just the sort of the humiliation and the kind of degradation that they experience, I think turns people off of the episode. And yes, how it's done is kind of over the top. But I think you're supposed to feel like it's hard to watch. I mean, there's a lot of stuff about the episode that doesn't quite click for me, but I have more respect for it than, at least for what they were trying to do, than I used to as a kid. I mean, I can kind of deal with some of those scenes the way I just found them unwatchable when I was younger. But for sure, Alexander is a great character, and that actor Michael Dunn, he was a recurring villain on Wild Wild West around the same time. I mean, a bona fide
okay.
great actor.
Yeah, he was in a
at
lot of
least
stuff around that time.
yeah. And he really makes that role. And whatever you think of the episode, it just has a couple moments that really hit home. I mean, that conversation between Kirk and him where, size, shape, and color makes no difference. If that doesn't get you, nothing will. And then when Kirk finally realizes he has the power and throws down the whip and he's like, I'm going to put an end to these, wacko, bizarre, immoral people. You're all in on that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
was like, I wouldn't have been upset if like the end scene is like the Enterprise leaving and then a photon torpedo just like
General Order
launches
24.
Give him the Armis treatment. That's what the Enterprise did to Armis in Next
Yeah, no,
Generation.
exactly.
Killed
That's
Tasha
I
Yar.
wouldn't have been upset at all if that happened, and it's because they're just so awful. They're so
Yeah.
Carmen, and I like that's the other thing is like, Parman, he's like, oh, like I have a new lease on life. I'm gonna be more careful and everything. And oh, geez, sorry. I keep breaking my little badges here, but then I love that Spock's like, no, we can't trust you. There's like no way like that we're just gonna be like, and Kirk's like, and we're gonna like load up our people with the power juice. Anyone who comes to visit like is gonna, so just keep an eye on that because it's true. Like they are gonna settle back into their old ways. If they really want to make a change, it's gonna take a long time. There's 2,000 years of like just like not having any opposition whatsoever and going into your complete like that's insane. Like it's an insane concept, but it's also very like relevant when you see how like all of us can do this, but it happens especially in like the extremely wealthy, and you can see more egregious like examples of it. I'm sorry to get on this little soapbox for a second here, but you can create this reality bubble or a distortion field or like a shield around you. You build this like world that's like, they were talking about how it's like perfect democracy and it's all these things. Like it's not. Like if anyone looking from the outside into that bubble is like, these people are going insane, like they're nuts. you know.
Yeah.
But inside the bubble, they're like, oh, everything's great. Like, look at our life, you know. Like they
Yeah,
have no clue. They've completely like
they're so off track.
yeah, they're way off track. Like it's terrible.
Yeah, no, I mean it just hits a very common theme in original series, especially. Like you need to be challenged, you need to do work, you need to be responsible. You can't, they say it perfectly themselves. We've become bizarre and unproductive, and they're just,
That's right. They do say that.
spinning off like in this immoral, vector that you described. But yeah, it's kind of a risque. It's an interesting idea, and they don't, it's not tackled quite as directly in any other episode. So
yeah, that's true. We got some comments going on in the audience. Well, let's see here. Fathery, what dedication? Alexander doesn't lose his human side. Hey, Trekkie Dave, nice to see you. Trekkie Dave's putting out some videos again. Everyone go check him out on Trekkie Dave's YouTube channel. I really liked your top shows video, Trekkie Dave. I've got to go and catch up on some more of your content. Spock and Kirk miniskirt alert says 2 volunteers for the summary. This is serious. LOL.
I always try to hold out long enough for someone else to volunteer first.
One of the theme nights, the costume theme nights on the Star Trek cruise that I just disembarked from this morning. But one of them, there was the first night. The theme was a toga night, and now I kind of wish that I had thought of dressing up as like some character from this, maybe Kirk or Spock or something.
I gotta find that shiny material. By the way, those 2 togas were auctioned off in 2018. So just recently, someone bought those 2 togas and is enjoying them right now.
Yeah,
like... they're probably sitting in their living room wearing one of them, watching this.
Maybe they're watching this right now. It's true. Spock and Kirk, miniskirt alert. Jill says Alexander's escape is the only thing worth watching in this episode. That is such a satisfying moment. I was so worried. I didn't remember if he left. I was like, they can't leave this guy here. No. There's no way. Prime directive be damned. Ruben is giving Jill a run for her money for the best screen name award. It's a really good screen name tonight. Let's see, the more the merrier. Okay, let me try again. Alexander doesn't lose his humanity because he never has the power on a world of all Michaels.
Gary Mitchell's.
Yeah, Mitchell's.
That's what they mean. Yeah.
I can't read today. Thank you, Cake is Eternal. Sabotage. That's the right way to say it. And then, okay, more comments. I would rather watch The Alternative Factor twice than see Plato's Stepchildren again. Wow, I would love to know, like, some like if there was anything that you found maybe in this viewing other than the Alexander. You already said it, but for you guys, for Ruben, I don't know what you think of this episode. We haven't heard your thoughts about it yet.
This has always been one of my. I remember loving this episode ever since I was a kid. Like, it's just one of those episodes I've always enjoyed. And watching it now, I was really amazed by what an incredible job they did with the escalation. Once again, it's not a whiz bang episode. There's no stupid effects. There's no things blowing up. It's just one set, basically, and a story. And like they get there, it's basically a humanitarian mission. They complete that mission. Then the people they're helping suddenly say, no, we want to keep this guy. Oh, no. Like, everything just keeps escalating and escalating just so perfectly that I was really impressed by the way the episode's paced. I mean, everything really. I really think this is one of the best episodes of the season so far. I mean, I don't really think I don't really think in terms of best and worst, but like.
You really enjoyed this one.
It was one of the better written ones. As far as pacing goes, it doesn't ever really bog down. It's always adding threat at every level. It continues to add the threat at every level where they tell them, okay, you're not going to go. We're going to keep you too, and then humiliate you for the next half hour. And then, oh, you're still not going to go? We're going to bring down, your women from the ship. Right. And now it just kept getting worse and worse. And then we're going to humiliate you more and humiliate you more. And then the other fantastic part was how they solved the problem, right? They figure out a solution, but it doesn't work at first. They're like, shit, we can't control the power. It takes time. It takes whatever. And so, and then the finale, the quintessential Star Trek message. You know, for us, killing is murder, even in revenge. What a great fucking message, Star Trek. And so I think it's a great episode all around. Like, it's a fantastic episode. Acting, I mean, music-wise, I don't even remember what they probably just used the standard stuff they used all season. But other than those, I guess, little nitpicks, I love it because this is what good storytelling is to me. You don't
I 100% thought of you, by the way, in that line. I knew.
you don't know how big smiles when that actually happened. But yeah, no, to me, it's the best of storytelling because it's about the story. It's not about planet hopping and all this fancy kind of distraction. It's
So three of us are saying, Father, give it another shake. Maybe you'll, maybe you won't. What, Father? Any further thoughts on that?
One of the, I think, most interesting reads on this episode I actually picked up on from listening to one of my favorite Star Trek podcasts, the Women at Warp, who I just saw Sue from Women at Warp. She was on the cruise also, but one of the things that they mentioned on there that I hadn't heard anyone else ever say, but they're absolutely right, is that a lot of the story is about consent and autonomy and the cruelty and viciousness of not respecting an individual as an individual and treating them as an object. And it really does kind of shine a light on that.
No, yeah, I completely agree with that assessment because it is every step of the way. It's about consent, even to the point of if you want to be sympathetic towards the gods, even to their existence, because they didn't know what the fruit was really going to do to them. They just started eating it, and then it gave them superpowers, and now the superpowers corrupted them to all hell. You know, so it's even they didn't even have. They were kind of given a drug without their consent, without even knowing that it was going to get to this level with them.
I got to go check out that episode of Women in Warp because I like that idea
a lot.
That
sounds really cool.
I also think that it's further illustrated because we know that Nurse Chapel has feelings for Spock, yet she's like I this is like you know, so but because there's no consent there, she's like she's like embarrassed and terrified and humiliated, and she expresses that, and Spock's like, there's nothing we can do, like there's no, you know, like it's like it's a very again, I could see why you want to just shut that off. Like, you don't want to see anyone being forced to do anything, especially intimate, like things like that. And then, oh my God, speaking of writing and then acting, Nichelle Nichols acts her ass off in the scene where she's telling Kirk, like, she's so afraid, she's trembling, she's like, she doesn't know what to do. Neither of them can like resist much longer. And when he says like try your hardest to like focus on, you know, something else, or like, you know, like what she chooses to focus on is like the comfort that his captaincy gives her, and it's like and she's like embracing this horrifying moment by remembering that like this is someone who loves her. It's her family. This is like you know, Captain Kirk, you know, whatever happened behind the scenes with all the actors, like on screen, they are like a solid family, like a crew. Like you see the love that they have for each other and the respect and everything like that. So as characters, genius moment for it. And then of course, you know, you have like the background history of like what it was. So it is kind of like hard to. What were you gonna say?
I will, in a rare move for me, I'll give Next Generation a compliment over the original series, but I'll say that the original series characters love and respect each other as much as the Next Generation actors do in real life.
Yes, it's true. I wish that it was the same off screen. It would have been awesome to see those guys.
I mean, we can't like resurrect James Doohan and make him forgive Shatner. It's just like that ship has gone to warp.
Yeah.
Good point. That's one of the things, like as a kid you have this it's interesting, like, you know, like Breaking of Innocence in a way. As a kid you have this fantasy that actors are the same as their characters, and especially when you're obsessed with like, you know, these characters and stuff like that. So, you know, when I started like finding these things out, I was like, I remember just like my heart breaking so many times, you know, and I was like, no. But yeah, anyway, so Yeah, I think let's see here. Whipping Uhura is a really unfortunate choice. Yeah, yeah, that's very triggering actually. Very good point.
But I think that plays into what Subcommander was saying too. That the episode is, and you, Starfleet, the episode is dark. It really is dark
Hmm.
without even changing the lighting, like how bright of an episode it is, the colors of the episode. Yet the subject matter and the way they kind of handle it is very intense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it raises an interesting question about art, and I think people diverge on this point. I mean, I kind of feel like art should be able to hit on anything because it's a way to explore things in reality almost in a safe way. I
Right.
mean, through story or through drama or whatever. And some people will like, I mean, like in The Enemy Within, where Kirk attempts to rape Rand. People are like, "Oh, I can't stand that episode because of that scene." And of course, the act is horrible, but it makes sense in the episode. And it's like, I mean, life has some horrible things in it, and we shouldn't be, I mean,
Right.
obviously not glorify these things, but you need to explore them. And I mean, I think the
Yeah,
moral
face them.
stance of the episode is pretty clear. So I understand why it's hard to watch,
Mhm.
but I think that's okay. I mean, I don't think you can really enjoy the episode, except for some moments. But I think it's important to explore even dark themes.
Right on. Wow. Uh, what else do you guys have to say about this episode? We're gonna you got Ruben, you got Jill to reopen her mind on this one, so that's pretty cool.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
I've had
so
my mind opened a few times with this this little excursion, a journey of mine on
it
YouTube.
really applies to bullying as well. I really hope some little Trekkies have used Kirk's speech at the end against some playground bullies. Yeah, there is some cringy dialogue, like when he says, "Scotty, I have a little surprise for you." Like I mean, we're not here to try to say that the episode is like perfect by any means. I think that might have been even a little cringy back then, but just like I feel like um, little people were used more as comedic relief. That's why again, that's why I appreciate that the actor was allowed to act his heart out and he gave an amazing performance. So he wasn't like comedic relief or just something, a gimmick or something like that, which is pretty cool.
This
So
this
yeah.
episode also made me think of something I've been thinking. I've thought a few times as we've been in season 3, which is the worst season, whatever. Where I'm like, I think people are confusing bad episodes with just episodes that don't have money, so they
Bad
do
production values. Yeah.
right, or just like this episode. If you look at it from like a whiz bang point of view, yeah, it's terrible. It's kind of cheesy in that sense. It's very low budget in that sense. But like as far as the storytelling, I don't think season 3's been like as such a drop off from anything else. Like it has its good ones, it has its bad ones. That's pretty much any Star Trek show ever. And so it's it's interesting. Like I don't know. The only thing the only difference I've noticed is that most of the episodes are now down here as far as budget, or they're very bottle episodes, or they're just all set on the Enterprise, or all set on this one set. The Western, but yet the Western had this cool surrealness to it. So it's actually an enjoyable episode. It's not as cheesy as you kind of the zeitgeist makes you think. The kind of common, and so that's an interesting kind of thing I've been kind of trying to keep track of.
What I noticed Scotty commands Enterprise a lot. This is a question that came up. Like, is he the most on screen? Is he the most is he the person who is taking over the most when Kirk and everyone else goes down? I feel
Yeah,
like
I
he
think
is, right?
I
Yeah.
think so. I think there's only, I mean, early in season one, Sulu was in command a few times, but usually from the helm. I mean, he was down there, and he was in command in Arena and also Errand of Mercy. But they quickly sort of, once they shifted to Scotty, they never shifted away. And I mean, it makes sense just based on his rank and kind of seniority. So yeah,
DeSalle
Another
got in the chair a couple times in season
Desal, yeah,
one.
he got he
the
got one
That's
shot
right.
at it. Yeah, that's right.
Another recognizable face for me. I'd seen her in a bunch of stuff. Barbara Babcock plays
Mhm.
Philana, or Philana, however you say her name. What did you guys think of that character?
Oh, so awful. I mean, you could see. I mean, that scene is really risque in some ways. The torture scene with Chapel and Uhura, when they go from first being forced to kiss them to like now he's got the hot poker and the whip, and just cutting to some of her reactions where she's like fanning herself and she has these kind of like this venomous reptilian kind of glare and like getting sort of turned on by this. And I mean, she's not the mover of the action the way Parman is, but I don't know, she's equally bad. But yeah, she plays it really well because she has played a few characters in TOS and quite differently.
Right.
So I think she does a good job at being pretty debased.
No, and that moment with her in the beginning with Spock is so great because she's like, "Oh, how old do you think I am? Go ahead, I'm not vain." And then Spock's like 35. She's like, "What the hell?"
She's even like,
yeah.
She's like, I thought I was 30. I stopped aging at 30.
And just for a little measly 5 years in a lifespan that's been, what was it, 2,000 years she's been alive?
Yeah.
Like, it's so petty and it's so gross, and it's like just perfect. But he's like,
I was today years old when I realized she plays Nora Christie, Shannon Christie's mother in the movie Far and Away, which she gives a great performance in that as well. I forgot that she was in that. Yeah.
Very distinctive voice. She has a very distinctive voice.
One of the things that struck me was the song that Spock sings. I really love it. It's really naughty though, but I love it.
That's actually Nimoy singing a little better there than in a lot of his musical attempts later in his life. So I don't think he's a very good singer, but I kind of, for whatever reason, I do kind of like his rendition of whatever that song was.
I call it Bitter Dregs. I didn't have a chance to look it up, but it's like he goes, but
it also makes me think that the lyrics of that song obviously like rhyme in English, but I would assume that these aliens are all just speaking ancient Greek, so like, it probably doesn't make a ton of sense there.
I think, I don't know why this is popping into my head, but I think he may have even written those lyrics. I don't think he wrote the music. I don't know about that. We should look that up.
We should get that info.
But yeah.
Sorry, audience, we don't have all the facts all the time.
Yeah, I remember this song being on the screensaver I used to have, my old Star Trek screensaver from like 1996. This was one of the things that they would show him in a little cartoon of him playing the harp. And
one of the Star Trek bands needs to do a cover, either the Roddenberrys or Warp 11 or 5-Year Mission. Who else? Isn't there someone else who makes Star Trek music?
Well, there's a metal band I saw on YouTube. I don't know if I don't remember their name.
Stovokor, the Klingon.
Stovokor, that's maybe that's who it was. Oh, can you imagine them doing a metal version of Bitter Dregs? Like, how awesome would that be? Bitter Dregs. Sorry,
it's pretty good.
Got a little carried away there.
Here it is. I found the lyrics.
You did? It's poetry. There's something about these kegs, drinking from the kegs, the sweetest kegs or something.
Value your wine. Yeah.
Be watchful of young men in their velvet prime.
That's a great line. Velvet Prime.
It's so good though, right? I feel like my youth was my Velvet Prime.
Yeah, I know.
It's gone now.
What's the cutoff date for
I'm in my leather. Now I'm entering my leather prime.
Deeply
gone is the Velvet
swallow from your finest kegs. They swiftly be gone, leaving bitter dregs. Bitter dregs.
Father, you're still in your velvet. Youth.
Oh, well, my MacBook is not in its velvet prime because it's at 7% battery.
Okay.
There's a power outlet right there, but it's too far away for me to reach.
Let's see what Scotty can do about this. But if you before you suddenly pop off, is there something like super important about this episode, or if you gave it like if you wanted to give it a crazy rating, you could too. Bitter Dregs. How many bitter dregs? Just in case.
How many strings are on a harp?
Oh, that was a good harp. I guess it depends.
I'll give it a full harp of strings out of 2,300 years.
Damn, that's a really good rating. I like that rating. That's my favorite. I can't even give it my rating now. That's like you defeated my rating. Let's see. There was a couple more things I had, which was I think some of the sadistic representations come from the Marquis de Sade's book. what's it called? Is it called 120? No, there's something called 125 Days of Sodom or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think some of those depictions come from that. Also, William Shatner got to do a little bit of a Shakespeare in this episode, if I'm not mistaken, and that was kind of cool. I think this time when I was a kid, I was laughed at the tap dancing or the Maria, whatever it was, either mariachi
Flamenco.
or like the flamenco dancing
Yeah.
thing. I always laughed and giggled at that, but it was so intense watching that this time. Like I was
Yeah.
really like it like totally hit different. And I was surprised about that because I was expecting to laugh. And I guess maybe the laughter of a child is more expressing discomfort that way. You know what I mean? And like now that I've seen some horrors in my day. You know, like, so now it's a little different. Yeah, just the depictions of abuse are really powerful, and I think they're worth. I think not that they're worth it, but if you want a safe place to examine those things, Star Trek in this episode kind of gives you that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't have to go out there and experience this awful stuff. You can kind of see a very powerful and effective depiction of it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I
And
mean, what
imagine that moment with the foot, when
Yeah.
you just step on his face, like that's so intense. So like,
Oh, and just how they make
what
Spock,
the
and also very in universe and very clever, like the way they make Spock experience emotions, because that will tax him. Like that's like that's
Yeah.
taxing his physiology, not just his, it could give him a heart attack, or
Yeah.
something like that.
And that
So,
scene with him talking about it that follows up where he grasps the goblet and it, cracks
Right.
it, where he's trying to, I can't express my emotions. That's not going to be healthy for me. I've got to just
Right.
overcome them. It's very powerful.
They're trying to make him like lose his s.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a tough watch. I mean, what makes it hard is that it's gratuitous. It's not like the Vians and the empath, or they're torturing them, but supposedly it's to help Jem's planet somehow, or if you're getting attacked by Klingons or something, it's for this intergalactic stakes. But here they're just torturing them for the hell of it because it's fun, because they're enjoying it, and that's what makes it more difficult.
Father, were you able to find power?
So I plugged into an outlet, but I think it doesn't work.
Okay. Real quick, just in case you drop off again, can you tell the audience what's going on Text Trek and what's coming up?
Wait, I'm good now. I have power.
Oh, good. Okay, yes.
Okay.
This actually feels like an episode of Star Trek. Like the engineering department came through and like
Try and verse
We have,
phasing.
Cake put some information there about the song that Spock.
Oh,
sings.
cool. Let me see here. Cake is Eternal says, written by Leonard Nimoy himself, Star Trek, the original series. The full version with musical arrangement and a second verse appears in the 1969
Second. Wow.
DOT LP, The Touch of... Oh, totally going to find this after. I gotta have that. That's like crazy. That's really cool. And then this is a really cool point, or a good point rather, I should say. Bitter dregs is another form of torture for the women, explaining how they'll be used and discarded. Yeah, totally. Also, the song reminded me a little bit of the poem in Much Ado About Nothing. Sigh no more, ladies, sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever, one foot in sea and one on shore, to one thing constant, never. And sigh not so, and let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, for converting all your sighs of woe into hey, nani nani. So it's like, I don't know why I remember that. I don't
That's
know why I
great.
know
Well
that.
Did not see that coming. Great.
I like Shakespeare. I like science too.
All knowledge is one.
Yeah. But yeah, it reminded me of that. So
Yeah, well, it's just the common theme of I don't know, men and women throughout history and different societies and time.
but it
and
feels like it's changing. It feels like there's another paradigm shift at least nowadays. Like it.
well, yeah, we can hope. Yeah.
Yeah, we can hope for sure.
Oh, you got some applause.
Oh, shut me down. That's it. The show's over. No, I'm just kidding. There are a few more notes that I had. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
have any other questions or notes, but so what was the way that that Kirk put it? It was the absolute power corrupts absolutely thing, but put in a different way. Was it Kirk or someone put it in that? But I guess my question is, What do you guys think? Should there be a follow up and a revisit of the Platonian culture? Do you guys believe Parmen?
I think Lower Decks would be the ones who would do it if anyone wanted to.
I think
Do
it
a
would be
show
brilliant.
on it.
Yeah.
And I kind of almost would be scared if they did that because I feel like it might undercut some of the seriousness in this episode that I think we largely agree is criminally overlooked.
Yay.
Yeah. Well put.
Oh my gosh, Joel says Touch of Leonard Nimoy is here on YouTube. Please send send the link somehow. I don't know. I need to hear him singing it. There's a cool Trekkie that I've been following on, let me see if I can get his handle so that he gets a proper shout out. Who I think he's in Ireland if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. Ah yes, so Chris Trekin. So it's Chris ChrisTrekkin, and he sings songs. And he said on my tweet that he was gonna do. I did a tweet of Bitter Dregs, and he says he's gonna do a version of it. So when that hits, I'm gonna retweet the heck out of it because I'm sure it's gonna be good. He has a really nice voice. If you guys want to check out and discover a new singing person, go check out him on Twitter. So yeah.
I guess it shouldn't be too surprised Nimoy wrote those lyrics. He wrote like some poetry later, right? He did a couple books of poetry, I think, or something like that. They're good lyrics. Just
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Leonard Nimoy was very much an artist. I mean, he also
Yeah.
did visual arts. I think he painted, but he definitely did photography.
He got really into photography the last couple of decades of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only other thing I'd say about the episode is that I don't like, because I mean, I was coming into this prepared to sort of defend something, but I'm glad we're kind of on the same page a little bit about, what the things that are interesting and sort of important about the episode. But one thing that I don't like or I wish they could have maybe, I don't know, explored a little more, but just the idea again of having aliens that were interested in the classic Greek culture and coming to Earth. They kind of, the way it was done in Who Mourns for Adonais was very sort of dramatic and kind of it really left an impact. Here it was sort of just, oh yeah, we liked Plato, so we went there, and then after he wasn't popular, we just kind of left. And it was just kind of like you take it for granted. Are these the same people? I mean, I don't think so, but I didn't like how that was glossed over. It's kind of like how in Assignment Earth they go back in time and they just sort of start with, oh yeah, using the light speed breakaway factor, we went back in time. It's like, make a bigger deal out of this.
I wonder if the reference to Plato is because of his allegory of the cave, and how these people are living in their cave, like Starfleet Boy alluded to earlier. They're kind of seeing their own light, and that's their reality. And now Kirk and crew come in and say, "Hey, it's all BS. Like we can get the power too." It kind of disrupts there. I wonder if that's what inspired him to be like, "Oh, hey, it's kind of like Plato's allegory." And hey, you know what? Greek outfits are cheap.
That's the real reason. That's the real reason.
Yeah,
we got some columns lying around. Yeah, okay.
I wonder if the allegory of the cave is still shown to students, because you just unlocked a really profound memory for me. Like I remember the first time reading the allegory of the cave and being like blown away. I think it should be required reading. It's very cool that you brought that up, but now I'd forgotten about it, like until you mentioned it. That's what happens when you get older. Things that were far away get further away.
More than we
I've forgotten more than I remember. Yes,
you remember that Shakespeare? Come on.
I did.
That was pretty impressive.
I think it's because in the film version, directed by Kenneth Branagh, Emma Thompson delivers it so beautifully. I think I was probably able to recall it because I was recalling her performance in a way, like her cadence and the way that she reads that. And it's, if you haven't seen Much Ado About Nothing, you should definitely see it. If you haven't read it, you should definitely read it. It's a really great play. Speaking of the timeless tale of men and women, that's the story. There's there's all this love. It's a love story. It's a love story that's not a tragedy. It's one of his comedies. Anything, Father, since you stuck around, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the Star Trek cruise, since we have you.
Oh, I would love to talk about that, but I'm probably going to do a YouTube live stream on that
like last time.
One week from today.
Oh, right on. Okay, so we're eagerly going to tune into that. Can I just say you saw Star Trek Picard? I know we don't want to take away, like, we're not going to talk about Star Trek Picard, but you saw Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Discovery. We're not going to talk about those here. We'll talk about those tomorrow on a stream on Starfleet Boy if you can join us. But I just want to know, like, seeing it on the big screen, how did that feel? That part of it, like seeing those episodes on the big screen.
I would have rather been watching it on my big screen TV at home, in a quiet room by myself, instead of like people who cheer and clap at stuff, and I can't hear the dialogue or turn on the subtitles.
Gotcha.
It was still kind of cool to see it, with some of the actors from the show. And
did the visuals hold up on that scale for you in the episodes?
Yeah. It's
very cool.
I mean, pretty much anything in 1080p looks pretty good on a big screen. So.
On a big screen, yeah.
On the silver screen. I kind of wish they had cranked up the brightness a little bit. But it is what it is.
Oh my god! It actually sounds like you're on a
red alert.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on at this airport. There's a bunch of lights flashing, and there's some voice giving instructions on the intercom. But I'm looking around.
Deflector shields just popped on.
Okay, this is not staged, which is awesome, but it feels very Star Trek. It feels very Star Trek. It feels like something's gonna pop out any minute now and beam through your shields.
It's like the Borg Queen's about to come over or something. Yeah, I have no idea. But no one seems to care. So.
Well, we'll hang in with you for as long as we can. I was gonna start signing out. But we'll stay in the after chat for sure. Anyways, I am glad. I'm glad we had this discussion, guys, because I didn't know. I saw some of the comments online, and I have seen that people don't like this episode, but I totally get it. I totally see why. There are things that I like. Yeah, I'm still wince at or don't want to see. And it's a hard episode. But if you can crack through that, I think you will find some interesting value. At least we did, and we hope you guys will too. I'm gonna give this episode 10. And that you can't say this is recency bias because this is like a 50-year-old episode, so whatever. It's a solid 10 on that on Starfleet Boy's part. I highly recommend it. I think I've forgotten that this was a season 3 episode, and I didn't realize how interesting it was. What about you, Plato's third cousin on his mom's cousin side? What do you have to say about this
first of all, me and Alexander got an album coming soon. It'll be dropping soon. I'll let you know more about that. Like I said earlier, this has always been one of my favorite, one of my episodes that I love, even when I was a kid. And I was really surprised about how much more I appreciated it as an adult who studied writing and has written things himself. Like seeing how they paced and wrote and put everything together, I was really impressed by it, and I think I like it even more than I remembered. I can see why people don't like it, especially if you're into more of the kind of space venture kind of Star Trek rather than the more pared down stuff. And so I would give it a
nice. Nice.
The
Commander
alarm
really give
stopped,
us...
by the way, so...
What's that?
I think I'm good. I think I'm safe.
Oh, good.
The alarm stopped over here.
What do you give it, and any closing statements on that?
I guess I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I don't think I have any closing statements on it, but I think, one thing I can say is, since I didn't like it as a child, or for some of the reasons we talked about, I didn't watch it a lot. So when I do go back and watch this one, it seems fresher by comparison to some of the episodes that I've seen, just so many times. So it's in that sense, it has a newness that still is appealing for me. So I didn't watch it for this, but I feel like I want to go watch it now. So
I'm hoping when it comes back up in the TOS Saturday night rotation to make sure to join that, because it would be fun to see what other Trekkies are thinking about it. We express a lot of interesting ideas even through humor, and TOS Saturday night tends to have a lighter tone, so I like that a lot. So shout out to you guys. Anyways, everyone, please check out our Star Trek Picard discussion tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna break down the episode a little bit, and it's going to be a little bit different because I'm no longer doing the reactions on video on Thursday nights. So I'm going to have like probably little essays or things to like discuss like that. So we'll see. I'm going to try something new anyways with it, and pose some questions to you, the audience, and try to make it a little bit more participatory. So come and check that out. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Father, and you're 100% invited. Ruben, not quite sure, but I hope you'll be in the audience.
I uninvite myself.
Ruben, I hope you'll be in the audience, though. At least give us a try. Give us a try in the audience. And then, of course, Commander Tall. I don't think. Are you watching the new series at all? No,
No,
right?
I haven't seen. Yeah, I don't have Paramount Plus, so I haven't seen anything of that.
Well,
although I've heard some decent things about the Picard, the season premiere there, but I haven't seen it.
Do you have a Blu-ray player?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right.
Yeah, I'm totally with Cake's last comment there.
What is it?
I feel it. I'm feeling it.
Let's see. Some Commander Tall's game of Desmond from last vibes lately. Lost. Oh, Lost. I haven't seen Lost. I've never seen Lost. I don't know.
Me
that
neither.
show.
I'm gonna have to look that up though. Now.
Yeah, I don't know much
Is
about
that good
Lost
or
either.
bad?
I hear it's good. I hear a lot of people
I
like
watched
it.
I enjoyed it, although I can see why people didn't like how it ended.
Father's flight goes out soon, right, Father? Ish.
8.
No, 8.
I'm here
like
for
late.
another.
You're gonna be there
5
for a while.
hours. Yeah, it's
Oh,
not a
hey,
lot
I'll
of
check-
layover.
Sorry.
I just there was no flight in the middle of the day, so I had to take a
late flight.
8:45. Yeah, it leaves at 8:45. So I'll get home around midnight tonight.
Oh wow. Well, I haven't seen Lost, but if you're recharged by tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, which will be 1 p.m. Central, then you're totally welcome to come on.
No, that's
discussion.
perfect for me. I'll be home.
Awesome.
It's before I go see the Batman tomorrow, so that fits into my schedule like a hand.
I just looked up Desmond from Lost, so I'll take that with both hands. That sounds
He's
good.
a cool character too. On top of that, he's a cool
Right.
character.
I'm getting my haircut Monday, but now maybe I won't. I don't know.
Everyone go and check out Text Trek. Last night we did a Text Trek discussion. It was a double header to a preview of things to come for a couple of weeks anyways, which is going to be
Very
Father,
long.
get ready for those 3-hour streams.
They're gonna be a little shorter going forward.
Oh really? Oh really?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
gonna try to keep them under 2.5 hours.
I love it. Okay, that's a good goal. Last night we streamed for 3 hours. Poor Dave had to feed his cat. I kept those guys on. I'm so sorry. Anyways, but it was a fun discussion. Y'all were great in the chat. Those of you who are here from there. But go check that out. It was fun to steer the Starship Texas. But I could never do the job of the captain. I respect you a lot more, Father, having seen what you put together every week. I'm going to give you the bridge clap on that one.
That's very kind.
Yeah, and I'll try to help more because now I know how much work you have to do. I think I could squeeze a little more bandwidth out, a subspace bandwidth out of my day. Anyways, so go check that out. Also, Earl Grey Trekkie, I believe, is going to be doing his Doctor Who discussion today, so stay tuned on his channel. We're going to do Turn Left. And then, yeah, that's it. I think, did I promote everyone? Oh, Ruben. Oh, yes. Ruben.
What?
Go to rumorg.com and Pop Axiom. No.
Yep, I just
Yes.
released. Popaxiom.com, rumorg.com. There's interviews there too. Most of the stuff's on Pop Axiom. Just go to my Twitter, at rmartian, and you'll find everything.
Excellent. And then go also check out Subcommander Tall under that same screen name on Twitter, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I just released interviews with the cinematographer of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new one on Netflix. Whether you like it or not, he's a very nice guy, very interesting guy to talk to. It's been
Very
very
cool.
controversial in the horror scene.
I don't know. I hadn't
and
heard.
I
Yeah,
put
okay.
another cinematographer, John Orphan. I love his name. From a film called Stoker Hills, which is pretty cool.
Oh, right on. Very cool. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, audience. That was fun. A really fun discussion. And live long and prosper. And we will see you next